many questions, but I will start with what first drew you to music, and specifically to the violin? And like, was there a defining moment that solidified your passion for the violin?
Yes. So, well, first of all, thank you so much, Cynthia, for having me. I began playing the violin when I was 4 years old. My mom and older siblings actually inspired me. My mom really wanted the three of us to have music as a key part of our education growing up. And so she found an incredible program in Boston, Massachusetts called Project Step. And they have what's called a focus program for very young children, ages around age 4. And so I joined that program um, very soon after my sister and my brother had started on string instruments as well. And this program is really tailored to Black and Latino students who want to excel in string instruments. And the story goes that, I would always hear my sister practicing, and I got very jealous of her. And every time that I heard her, I knew that I wanted to do the same thing. So here we are, 21 years later.
Can you talk, more about your journey as a musician and how your experiences, uh, how did they shape you to be the artist that you are today? And what challenges did you overcome along the way?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I mean, being a classical musician means what I like to say, locking in very early on. It takes a lot of discipline, many hours alone in the practice room, lots of intonation work, rhythm, all of the fundamentals. That's, the basic. And then on top of that, incorporating the musicality and your own voice, which is extremely important. Um, when I started, there were very few African American violinists in my community outside of what we were just talking about Project Step. So I was often the only one in mostly Asian and white spaces. So those experiences definitely forced me to think about what equity means, what belonging means, and just how to navigate being in those spaces at an early age. And it definitely was difficult for sure. And it still is. I don't think it'll ever not be difficult. And in fact, it might be getting more difficult. But I still wouldn't trade this experience of being in classical music for anything. It's made me become a more self-aware person, but also aware of other people, what's happening immediately in the world, and it's just made me more empathetic and hopeful that the next generation, that there will be a space for them, and hopefully even more better opportunities in this field.
Well, and I think you've partially answered it, but how would you say music has shaped your life? I think you just touched on that, but what does it mean to you on a deeper level?
Yeah, that's another great question. I mean, it's all consuming in the best way possible. I was teaching some students at a primary school in London just the other day, and someone had asked me, how much do you practice? And one of my answers for whenever kids ask me is all day. um, and it's always funny to say that, but it's really true when I think about it, and I think it's true for a lot of my colleagues. You kind of practice all day long, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're holding your instrument and sawing at it um, all day from dawn till dark, but you're constantly thinking about the music. Yes, there are chunks of hours, like maybe 3 hour chunks, twice a day that I'll actually hold the instrument. But other times during the day, I'm score studying, which is really important. Looking at what the other parts have. If I'm playing a solo piece with piano, what does the piano have? What counter melody do they have to mine? When do they have the melody? All those sorts of things are all involved in practice. So that's mental practice, and then there's the physical practice. So there's lots of discipline involved in this career. And on a deeper level than that, music, I mean, it's what I come to day in and day out when I'm feeling overwhelmed, or when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling happy. It's just that universal communicator that keeps me in check and also keeps me going.
No, I love that, and it's, interesting and wonderful that something that's so much a part of your life brings you joy as well, so it's not just a chore, it's joy. And so what motivates you to share your music and experiences with students, especially those who might not have access to the arts?
I'm extremely motivated to share my musical experiences with young students who are starting out on string instruments or who have already been on this journey for a long time. And I'm specifically motivated because I remember being in the shoes of a young girl who didn't see many violinists, string players, or really wind players. There's so many instrument groups in classical music where African Americans are just few and far between. And so I was extremely inspired by seeing role models who would come to Project Step, play for us, talk about what they're doing, what conservatory they're applying to, what conservatories they're in, what competitions they've won or are entering, because it's not all about winning. It's about the effort that's put in. And I just want to create that sort of experience for the generations that are following me, because those experiences meant so much to me and showed me what possibilities there are for me in classical music.
I love that. And I love to tell the story that I am not a musician, but I am in love with the arts and I do love classical music. And I can remember even at this age being so moved when, and I grew up in Dallas, when we went to a performance by the Dallas Symphony Orchestra that was designed for children. I think it was Peter and the Wolf the performance that we first saw. But once that chord strikes within you, so I would just what do you hope to bring to the young people you'll be working with during this residency, and what kind of impact do you hope it will have?
Well, I'm so excited to be coming to Chicago for this incredible opportunity, first of all, to be their artist in residence for 3 whole seasons. That is a gift and an honor and privilege that I am so excited to embark on with this incredible organization, the Chicago Philharmonic. And one of the things I love about the Chicago Phil is that they are, first of all, they help audiences experience music across a ton of different genres, not just classical music, but they also strive to reach out to the community in very meaningful ways. And so part of the residency for me will be meeting with young students in the community. I'm so excited for that. And I'm looking forward to all of it. I mean, getting a glimpse into what the students' lives are like, if there are students who are looking for a path in classical music as a profession, how can I answer any questions that they have, give them any advice that they want, and just to work closely with students who, will play for me in a masterclass setting or an orchestra setting. Maybe we do side by side, all of the above. I'm just really looking forward to that.
Well, I'm sure it will be a wonderful experience, and your schedule is quite impressive over this period of residency. And so, my last question then is, what message would you share with young women, in particular, especially those who are aspiring for careers in the arts?
Believing in yourself and your ideas, that's the most key. And any glimpse of self-doubt, you know, I find that for me, that's gotten in the way more times than not, um, in just in my whole life. And so I've really been working at trying to believe in myself and the thoughts that I have, the musical ideas that I have, and be confident in communicating that, not just through words, but also through my playing. So, yeah.
Well, That's wonderful, and I can give you 100% assurance that, I believe in you and the Philharmonic does, and I know that you'll make a lasting and very much a caring impression on the students that you meet in the days ahead, not just through this residency, but looking out into the future. And I thank you very much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Cynthia.